What is up, all my dorks, nerds, geeks, gamers? It's your host, Ghost here, and I'm joined with...
Specialist.
And you are watching Smash Soapbox. I'm going to quit saying what episode it is, because, well, eventually we're going to get to the point where it doesn't matter, because it's going to be a weekly thing, so I'm not even going to keep track anymore. But today's topics, we do have topics. Today's topics, we're talking about everything Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, Sony Spider-Verse, MCU Spider-Man. The only reason I wanted to talk about Spider-Man today is because there was the huge news that Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Doctor Strange, will be the mentor character in the third Spider-Man movie. And that's not a huge, big thing. Like, that's not like, oh, wow, that changes the whole perspective of Spider-Man. But what does is, considering that this is Doctor Strange, and we've also get the reports that Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro, who was Electro in the Amazing Spider-Man movies and not the other ones. This tells me they're actually starting the Spider-Verse for the third Spider-Man movie. And we're going to have an actual Spider-Verse movie with Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield. All three Spider-Men in one universe, finally, for the first time ever. And that's why I wanted to bring it up this week of how something like that could change the industry, make it different from anything we've ever seen in a superhero movie. Because this would be like the equivalent of Marvel taking the old X-Men movies and being like, okay, they're canon now. Hugh Jackman has always been Wolverine. That's what this is. That's the same thing that Sony's doing with the Spider-Man movies. So what is your kind of thoughts on that? Or
Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of the Tobey Maguire.
right?
Um,
I have to say the Tobey Maguires though had amazing casting.
yeah,
The guy that played Green Goblin, perfect, amazingly perfect Green Goblin.
his name was. Yeah, he did play a good Green
Yes, and the guy they chose to play Doc Ock, amazing Doc Ock, amazing job. Both those villains killed it.
But
Then they screwed it up with Venom, and then they screwed it up with Hobgoblin and all that. So,
well,
but Sandman was good as well.
definitely the effects weren't there to pull off the Venom,
Right.
tried to do.
Right.
So we kind of, I mean, it was good at the time, I guess, but I wasn't sold on it, and then I
Right.
didn't Evil Spider-Man or the Dark Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, and the scenes they put in there were so dumb. Him dancing and snapping his fingers.
Yeah, it was cringy. I watched it again just recently, just because it was on TV, and I was like, oh god, I can't sit through this. This is embarrassing for me.
Spider-Man 3 is by far the worst of the Tobey Maguire ones.
I honestly wasn't a big fan of any of them.
Right.
I mean, casting was about the only thing I had going for him. The acting itself, I, I don't
Right.
see Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I don't. I looked at him and was like, that's not a Peter Parker. Like,
True. I could see that. I thought that at first as well until I actually watched the movies and then I became a fan of them and then I was like, I could see it. I could see his Spider-Man. But Andrew Garfield played the more traditional Peter Parker that I like to see. I like to see I like to see Peter come up with quips and be snarky and be, because that's how Spider-Man wins in fights. That's what people forgets. People forget that people are like, no, Spider-Man doesn't Spider-Man's quippy because he has to be. Spider-Man uses that as an advantage in a fight. He gets your rage boiled up and then he makes you mess up and overthink and get outside of your head, then he wins the battle. That's how Spider-Man fights, and that's the element I like them to see with Andrew Garfield, where he'd kind of put out little quips and you're not good, you're not good enough as this, you can't beat me. Like that's Spider-Man. That's how he wins fights. And then
yeah,
Tom Holland kills it.
he's the best out of my opinion. I did like Garfield.
Andrew Garfield is good,
Uh,
but the movies were horrible. Amazing Spider-Man 1, so
yeah,
boring all the way through. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just so much filler that leads to nowhere. That
Well, there's a lot of issues with the cast,
yeah,
and it is what it is. He could have done it. He's just getting too old for it. I mean,
yeah,
he looked that it was just it's not Peter Parker anymore. He's turning into a man, not a kid.
right.
So
Well, my theory here is, what if Sony does do this Spider-Verse, and instead of, so we get Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland all in a movie. But what if on top of that they bring in a live-action Miles Morales, and Marvel gets to do the live-action Miles Morales movies while Sony still does the Peter Parker Spider-Man movies?
my only problem is Sony doesn't have a good track record
Right. This is
within
true.
superhero. So
Well, you got to remember
I'll,
this though. This third Spider-Man movie is still a Marvel movie. So Marvel is still, if it is Spider-Verse, Marvel is still involved with that. And with the way they're doing Phase 4 with WandaVision and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and everything else, it tells me that it seems like all of Phase 4 is going to be multiverse movies, where we're dealing with the after effects of this crazy rip in the multiverse that happened. And that to me is intriguing. I think that's awesome.
I can
So
see it. I could see it. I'd be down with it. I
but
would give.
I just hope Sony does good with it, and I hope they, with Kevin Feige at the lead, that they can make a good Spider-Verse movie in live action, which I think would be absolutely amazing, bonkers to see. Like, could you? I couldn't even imagine the plot, like what it would be, like who the villain would be,
It would be crazy. I
because
think
you would have like,
you'd have to have multiple villains, or
yeah,
at
from
least
different universes.
one epic villain, like a Thanos for the Spider Verse. It'd have to be for all of them to come in from
Well, well,
different dimensions.
well. Here's the thing. Once I heard that they're going to be doing this, then my cog started to churn. And I was thinking, man, dude, they cannot get a Sinister Six movie off the ground. It's been taking them years and years and years, and they can't get a Sinister Six off the ground. What if they do a Sinister Six, but it's Spider-Man villains from the different multiverses? So you get two from Andrew Garfield's, two from Tobey Maguire's, two from Tom Holland's, and then you have your like multiverse Sinister Six.
I could
That
see
would
that.
be cool.
I could
That would be
totally
awesome.
get behind that. That would be good. Now they have got to not fuck that up.
Right.
That is that
There's a
would
lot to go into it, and I don't see, the thing is, I don't know even how that they would tell that story. I mean, Tom Holland would have to be the main character because he's the main Spider-Man now, and the other two would kind of be supporting cast and kind of help him.
maybe. I don't know. I bet you anything if they do it, it's going to be a road, and it'll probably switch between different universes till they merge, and they'll be in
Could
Tom. Well, it'll be not Tom Holland's, but it'll be in
be MCU.
yeah, it'll be in the MCU when they meet up, and they're going to be like, oh, and they're in his world now. So yeah, then he'll
Right.
take over because he's going to know where everything is. It's going to be minutely different, but it's going to be enough to throw him off.
Right.
So they'll.
I could see it. It sounds pretty good to me. Another thing. Now we got to talk about Venom, because Venom is also in Tom Holland's universe. Unofficially, officially, which is weird because nobody really knows, but they kind of say they are connected, then they're kind of not. So we got Venom 2 coming out next year. Venom, it's called Venom 2. This is Carnage or something like that, or Maximum Carnage or something like that. But we know Carnage is the villain, played by Woody Harrelson. We know Morbius is coming out, and that ties kind of everything together because you got Falcon in Morbius, who's from the Spider-Man Homecoming movies.
I'm so fucking stoked for Morbius. Like
I am too.
that is the one movie this coming. Well, I guess
Next year.
phase. Yeah, next year that I am very excited for. And then, yeah, well, no, yeah, it'll be the Kingsman movie, but that's off topic. But those are my two movies I want to see really bad.
Right. Morbius, I think, looks really good. It's intriguing because it's like not even a superhero movie. It's more of a medical movie with the turn. It's a drama with the turn of a superhero movie, is what it is.
Well, it's going to be more like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Kind of like
But I
what the new
shouldn't say superhero because he is an anti-hero. He's not a good guy. So he's much like Venom, where he kind of does whatever he needs to do or wants to do.
It's more like needs, because I don't think he wants to be a fucking murderer. But
Well, yeah.
does turn into a monster, and I think he learns how to control it.
Yep. Well, that's the other thing is people think that Morbius is going to be like a really gory movie and everything. And I'm like, well, no, Morbius won't be that gory. And everyone's like, why? Well, for one, Morbius eats from his hands. He doesn't eat from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
He has mouths on his hands that eat. And that's how that's how they get around back in the day when everyone was up in arms about vampires biting people in the neck and showing blood. That's how Marvel got around that. They were like, okay, well, we'll put him on his hands. So when he strangles someone, he's biting them. And that's how they got around.
Still murdering somebody.
Yeah.
Like...
But you don't see like the ripping and all that stuff and all that. That's how they get away with censorship and getting through that. But it's still, I mean, I think that's a pretty unique concept. I think Marvel's the only vampire that I've ever heard that eats out of hands to get out of censorship laws, which I think is a pretty cool little tidbit there. All right. Well, I got another topic for you though. This one's kind of different, not too different, but a little bit different. So we were talking about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and what if Deadpool showed up in that movie with Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. Well, Ryan Reynolds news broke this week, I think last Wednesday, that Ryan Reynolds is in talks to sign a deal bigger than Robert Downey Jr.'s deal. Now that tells me he's going to be in every MCU movie from the future onwards, just like Stan Lee was. And he's going to be the new cameo, just like I was hoping and praying. I was like, dude, please let this happen. That would be so amazing to see Deadpool in every movie.
Oh, God.
Like,
That looks pretty
so
dope.
If Ryan Reynolds signs this deal, it is the biggest deal in Marvel history, bigger than Robert Downey Jr.'s. He would be getting probably 50 million on every not every appearance, but every Avengers movie that he shows up in. Because he's going to be on the team. He's going to be a part of the Avengers, which is going to be hilarious because he's going to be screwing around with Thor and Rocket Raccoon and Bucky and all those. Like they're going to be in some hilarious moments, like Ant-Man. Like I can't even imagine the whips and all the good stuff. We might even be able to get a Spidey Deadpool movie. That would be amazing.
I'm pretty.
Just imagine a Spider-Man movie with Deadpool as the mentor character.
That's that's gonna be a fucked up Spider-Man.
Like that would be hilarious. Like I just want to see that so bad. But what do you think about Ryan Reynolds signing this deal? Do you think he will, or do you think he's too busy? Because he's got like so many other movie projects he's still got going.
Let me ask you something. Would you be too busy for $50 million? I wouldn't.
No. But Ryan Reynolds has a lot of other projects, and it depends on how much he loves those.
Ryan Reynolds loves that universe. He loves Deadpool.
I think he does too. Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's how many. Because he's gonna fucking do it.
Yeah. When? The question is when. Do you think it'll be? I'm thinking it's gonna be 2022.
He'll make a cameo in the next Avengers, or he may even make a cameo in the next Spider-Man.
I'm thinking Doctor Strange because that's a late 2021 movie. So, and then that'll set them good up for 2022 to be a full part of Phase 5 and whatnot, with everything they got coming on there. What would Deadpool 3 even be though? Like, that's going to be a hard movie to even see, like, because it's going to be rated. It might be rated R. It might be PG-13. I have no idea.
I think it'll be R.
I do too.
Stay at R, and then his cameos and whatnot, like when he works with the Avengers, he's still going to have his dirty sense of humor, but it won't be as.
I don't think it'd be as dirty. Yeah, I don't think you'll see the nudity or it'll be gory. I'm sure it'll still be just as gory and bloody, but I don't think it'll be nudity anymore.
Bloody either. Not when he goes into the
MCU. No, he won't.
own movies, because this is how he's going to fund the standalones. Like,
Yeah.
Because he pretty much made the Deadpool movies. Like that. Like he
Right.
put it and all that shit. He wrote his own fucking script for the most part. Like he made his own tweaks, and that's what made the character.
Well, and you know what? The thing is, they can even explain it really easily because, like I said, they've already set up this whole multiverse thing that they're doing now, to where they could literally just have Deadpool pick up a remote control from his house, press a button, a portal opens, he walks through, and he's like, "This ain't the Fox universe," and it's done. Like now he's in the MCU, and he can go back and forth whenever he wants. If he wants to do an R-rated Deadpool, he goes in the Fox universe and does an R-rated Deadpool. But if you want to go to the Avengers and hang out with them, he goes in the PG-13 MCU.
I bet you anything, it's gonna have something to do with Ant-Man. Like whenever Ant-Man was time traveling and shit.
It could be.
I bet you anything he's gonna find that fucking van.
He might.
Or something, and bam, he's in the MCU. Like he could have just like smacked the shit out of it or shot it, and then was like, "All right, we're jumping this van."
I'm really putting faith that Doctor Strange we're gonna get a Deadpool cameo. Everyone doesn't think so, but I really think that that's gonna be our first area we ever see him. Because dude, you have Doctor Strange. He's already in the Spider-Verse now. He's already dealing with that. He's got his own multiverse problems now. Of course, Deadpool's gonna show up. Like, it's the easiest thing. He makes a portal. Deadpool's right there. Like maybe Deadpool's like bending down or something. Like his ass is like right in the portal, and Doctor Strange is like, he turns around. He's like, "You looking for me or something?" Doctor Strange's like, "Nope," and like closes the portal real quick. Like something like that. Like that could be his very first appearance. Very simple. Explains everything, and it's Deadpool. He can do what he wants. Like he can show up whenever he wants, for no reason.
He can't die. So I mean,
Yep. But I just figured I'd throw that in there because I didn't know if you knew that Ryan Reynolds was about to sign that amazing deal. Another rumor with Deadpool is that after this Black Widow movie comes out, Taskmaster, as you know, is going to be the main villain of that movie. They're saying that Taskmaster is actually one of the first MCU villains that's going to go to Deadpool 3 and be the actual tie together to the MCU in Deadpool 3 when it's being R-rated. And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. That's a crazy idea. I never thought of that."
Different angle. It fits his background too, as far as being.
And then the leak was saying that like Taskmaster is the perfect fit for Deadpool because Taskmaster can learn anyone's moveset except Deadpool's because he doesn't make sense. Like he doesn't.
He's so sporadic. He just
and that's why they kind of play together because even if they get on each other's nerves, they can't kill each other because they both one up each other. So that's a cool little dynamic. And then if Josh Brolin comes back as Cable, the trio, that would be awesome. Oh, that would be absolutely amazing.
I could see it. That would be because I mean, Thanos is done. So
yep, maybe once again we're dealing with the multiverse. He could always come back.
Yeah, but for now he's done. So there is an excuse for him to come back. So I could see it. Right. I mean, Kate and I mean, Colossus also.
Yes, Colossus had better come back, dude. I'm telling you, out of anyone in the Deadpool franchise, Deadpool, Colossus, and the taxi driver.
Yes, I was gonna
say those three characters I have to see because like that taxi driver has been in the beginning from the first one and the second one.
They play off each other so good too. Yeah. Like, the fuck up. Some of the shit he says, you would say.
He stole that boyfriend, put him in the trunk, and then got crashed a car and killed him. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Poole, I'm sorry, Mr. Poole."
Well, the thing is, like, I don't know how he still has a job. He crashed with somebody in the back. Like, you can't explain. Wait, what happened?
Deadpool. It was Deadpool.
They'd be like,
They'd be like, "Who's Deadpool? The guy that spelled Francis with all those dead bodies the other day." That's him.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's all our topics today. It was just a short little podcast tonight. about the Spider-Verse and the MCU and superhero movies as usual. That's what we like to talk about here on Smash Soapbox for the most part. So like, subscribe, and share, guys. Keep it right here on Dorkston. I've been your host, Ghost, joined with
The specialist.
and adios, guys.
Adios.